Let's have a look then at what a typical question might look like with regards to classification of skill. Here you can see you get a little statement. It's talking about the organization continuum as high and low organization, and it asks the students to use practical examples to explain both of these classifications. Now, some exam boards will give some kind of structure, as is indicated here, with high organization, space to write your response, the students to write their response, and low organization to do the same. A couple of things I would identify to your students straight away is the importance of reading the question very, very carefully, perhaps 3 or 4 times. Often students will pick up the fact that this is about the organization continuum and it says explain both of these continuums, and they may overlook this key point, which is using practical examples. The other thing I would say is have a good look how many marks are available for this question. In this case, we can see that there are 4, and therefore we should be asking our students to think, all right, how is this going to be divided up? The obvious idea, the obvious response would be, okay, there's 4 marks in total, so there's going to be probably 2 for high organization and 2 for low organization. And where are those marks going to be further divided? Well, 1 mark for the explanation of this classification and then 1 mark for practical examples. So let's have a look at a possible response for our first answer, which is high organization. So you can see that I've already created that. High organization skills are skills which are hard to break down into subroutines. Hopefully I pick up 1 mark for that. I expand on that a little bit. Therefore they are learnt and practiced as a whole movement. That gives me, it shows the examiner that I have a greater understanding, and it's not just about it being difficult to break them down into subroutines. The reason for that is because we need to learn it as a whole. Then I go on to give my example. Example of a high organization skill is the running action. This is because, and I explain why the running action is difficult to break down into subroutines and it's easier to learn and practice. So I've actually just gone on and reiterated the theory. Key points then is give your explanation and the practical examples. You'll be surprised how many students do not give practical examples, and the mark scheme will probably only give a maximum of 1, perhaps even now not even any marks at all if the practical example is not provided. Let's have a look at the second response. Very similar in structure. Low organization skills are skills which are easy to break down into subroutines, 1 mark hopefully, and the component parts of the movement can be learnt and practiced separately in isolation. That's just extending the knowledge and understanding of what the low organization skill is. An example of a low organizational skill is the triple jump. This is a great example to use because there are 3 main components, 3 main subroutines, the hop, the step and the jump, and each of those can be learned and practiced as individual movements. So you can see very structured response. We've given the explanation of what the skill classification is, i.e. the theory, and we've followed that up with practical examples, correct practical examples in both cases. That would be a model answer that would give us 4 marks out of 4.